Hello, my friend, and welcome back to another episode of the Live Label Free podcast, and Happy New Year! I used to be one of those people that got all intentional about setting New Year's resolutions and New Year's goals and New Year's hopes and dreams, but now, today, I am totally the opposite. If I want to achieve a goal, why would I wait until the arbitrary flipping of a calendar? I honestly feel like this is the reason why so many people quit their New Year's resolutions so soon, because they don't have enough inner motivation to make the change. Because if they did, why else would they have waited for an external circumstance? If you are struggling with motivation, I actually recorded an episode this time last year titled How to Stay Motivated in Eating Disorder Recovery, in which I share 3 tangible tips for actually staying motivated. You'll also hear a bit more of a deep dive into my perspective on New Year's resolutions and how I approach goal setting at this point of my life, which is pretty much the same as it was last year in January. So in this episode, I'm actually going to be sharing another update on my life and everything that's been going on with me, as I received such incredible feedback on my honest update episode that I shared a few weeks back. I was truly surprised by the amount of messages I received about that episode and how many of you resonated with it, that it really opened my eyes to how interested you are actually in me. I'm always so focused on you as a listener, constantly thinking about what you may be struggling with so that I can come up with content to help you. But the positive feedback on my last update episode made me realize that maybe I should make these podcast updates a more regular thing, because I showed my struggles, and I think there's so much strength in vulnerability, so maybe I should stop just focusing on you and what you're struggling with, and also share about me and what I'm struggling with, because although I have achieved so much in my life, and I've beaten an eating disorder, and I've beat my extreme hunger, which I will share all about in this episode, and I've discovered so many things. I always say, and I tell all my clients, I am a lifelong learner too. Like, I am constantly learning things and constantly working on myself. We all are, because if we already knew all the answers and already knew everything about ourselves, like, what's the point of living? One of my favorite quotes is actually, discovering your purpose may take a lifetime. Luckily, a lifetime is exactly how long you have. And of course, you don't want to wait to get all your epiphanies and all your new book ideas when you're 99 and on your deathbed, but you know what I mean. Anyways, kind of coming back to the episode here, because I'm going off on a tangent again, which I tend to do a lot, as my thoughts can go faster than my words. They do go faster than my words. Anyways, just coming back to the episode here. If you follow me on Instagram at livelabelfree, you know that I had a period of doing weekly updates on Sunday, on my Instagram stories, but I've kind of stopped doing those, and honestly, just have been spending less time on Instagram in general, which is something I will be getting into later in this episode, because it's all part of the bigger picture of my envisionment for the future of Live Label Free, so that when I am 99 on my deathbed, I can look back and be like, I did everything I wanted to. And if I didn't do it, apparently it wasn't important enough, right? Okay, so speaking of the future, that is everything I'll be updating you on today. How's it been being back in the Netherlands, and what are my plans longer term? How will this affect my business and coaching, and will it even affect my business and coaching at all? I will also share all the things I'm currently working on, from books and books and just all the things. And I'll be sharing also an extreme hunger update, as I know you're probably dying to hear where I am now in terms of that journey, because when I shared where I was on my extreme hunger journey, I think it was 2 months ago, I was in a totally different place. I was knee deep, elbow deep, or should I say mouth deep in the extreme hunger. And now, 2 months later, it's just it never happened. Well, it did happen, but that's everything you're going to be hearing in this episode. Welcome to Live Label Free, the podcast, where we talk about all things eating disorder recovery, autism, entrepreneurship, and so much more. I'm your host, Livia, and my mission is to inspire individuals from across the globe to live a life in which they feel fulfilled and free from limiting labels. I am so excited to have you here and cannot wait to dive into the episode. Okay, so where do we even start? I'm trying to think back to how I left my last episode, and I believe it was along the lines of me moving back to the Netherlands and to be with my family and being smack dab in the middle of going through extreme hunger. So I guess we'll kind of just start there. On November 29th, I flew back to the Netherlands, and I was honestly so excited and relieved to be on the plane that day, as the days and weeks leading up to that day were just so freaking stressful. I had to figure out where to store all my shit, and as you know, you have to time everything perfectly in terms of laundry and finishing food and leaving the apartment clean, all while being packed and prepped for a big international flight, and not to mention the stress of going through security and not bringing liquids on the plane. And it always annoys me so much because I just want to be able to bring a jar of peanut butter or almond butter or even just a thing of yogurt, but they see that as liquid, and I'm it's not, it's ground up peanuts. Anyways, I'm going on so many tangents right now because I just have so much freaking energy. But because I don't know exactly how long I'll be here in the Netherlands, I did decide to store most of my stuff in crates, which one of my friends in Boston was just so kind enough to help me out with. And she even allowed me to use up a ton of space in her basement to just store all my stuff. So on the day I am recording this, it's currently mid-December. I've been back in the Netherlands for just 2 weeks now, and the best way to describe the way I feel is absolutely phenomenal. Seriously, the way I feel now versus just half a year ago is 180 degrees, totally new atomic mind. It's crazy. As I did describe in my previous podcast update episode, when I was in San Francisco, I felt lonely, anxious, overworked, and I couldn't even eat anything without throwing it up. Thinking back to 6 months ago, I'm wow, that's just crazy. I was at such a low weight. I mean, I lost so much weight last year due to the vomiting, which now looking back, I seriously could have died. I'm not even joking. And I just felt so hopeless and so stuck because all of my efforts towards weight gain, I was drinking Ensure shakes and eating extra peanut butter and obviously not bringing it on the plane, otherwise they take it away from me. I was eating so many calories, but my body just could not keep it down. I was throwing up everything, and especially with my history and the work I do and, empowering and inspiring people to live their best life and helping people, accept their natural body weight, I was just this is so ironic. And then also receiving all those negative messages on social media that I was a recovery coach fraud and I was faking my recovery and I was hiding the fact that I was getting a relapse and I was becoming anorexic again. It's just people on social media. This is honestly another reason why social media is just, for me, has become such a mixed bag. I love Instagram and I love how many wonderful and amazing people I've met through the platform, but the dark side of social media is dark. It is so dark. And the most ironic part is that I know the people that said those mean things to me and commented those mean things to me and messaged those mean things to me. I know that if I saw them in person and I was talking to them face to face, they would never say those things. And I think, like I said, that's the danger of social media, is people think they just have rite of passage to say whatever they want, whereas in real life they would never say that. But yeah, anyways, when I realized I needed to start putting my health first, because ultimately the vomiting was just caused by my body literally telling me to stop, I made plans to move back to my hometown of Boston where I grew up, and that's when I finally felt hope again. But when the stress did not subside in Boston, and I still felt lonely as I yearned to be closer to my family, that's when I decided to make the decision to move closer to them, a move I'd sworn I'd never make again. Yet here I am with an entirely new perspective because I've chosen to take on that new perspective. I'd sworn I'd never live in the Netherlands again due to the trauma I endured here while suffering from an eating disorder. I mean, it was in this country that one of the quote-unquote best psychiatrists of the country told me, you're just going to have to accept the fact that you're never going to get better because your issues are too complex. I mean, although it was very traumatic, and it still is very traumatic, I was giving so much power to an external circumstance. Like, I was giving this woman who told me that the power to basically decide where I was going to live. And I'm like, hell no, she does not deserve that power, because ultimately this was making me a victim and I was choosing that role. I mean, we cannot choose to be victimized, but we can choose victimhood. I mean, I recently heard that quote in Edith Eger's book, The Choice, and she also wrote The Gift. I mean, highly recommend these books. They are just filled with such powerful life lessons. So yeah, I was choosing to be a victim of location if I was going to continue giving this woman who told me, like, you're never going to get better, the power to basically decide that I couldn't live here. And I don't think that she deserves that power, like I said. So I completely opened up my mind to the possibility of flourishing in the Netherlands and showing this lady, like, I don't have to manage an eating disorder forever. I mean, obviously I wasn't going to show her anything. I'd never have to see her freaking face ever again, but you know what I mean. So that is exactly what I'm doing right now. I am flourishing. If you love listening to podcasts as much as I do, you will without a doubt love listening to audiobooks just as much. And that is why I am so excited to tell you about Audible. Audible is an audiobook service offering the world's greatest selection of titles, ranging from much-loved classics to new releases and original podcasts. Ever since I was young, I have always loved learning, and I believe one of the best ways to learn is through reading. I think we all know there are so many incredible books out there in the world, from captivating fiction novels to the well-known self-help books aimed to improve your life and sense of overall health and happiness. But how the heck do you find the time to read in the hustle and bustle of our insanely busy lives nowadays? Thanks to Audible, I can now plow through several books every week without having to sacrifice any other activities on my calendar. Whether I'm cooking, going on a walk, doing groceries, or folding boring laundry, I can continue learning. Not to mention turn any boring experience into a fun and engaging one, and listen to all of my favorite audiobooks straight through the free Audible app. One of my favorite books is Essentialism by Greg McKeown, all about how to achieve more by doing less. You can now try Audible completely free for 30 days and get a free audiobook of your choosing when you visit the link www.audibletrial.com/live-label-free. That's www.audibletrial.com/live-label-free, like the name of this podcast, and get your first audiobook for free on me. Be sure to let me know which audiobook you end up choosing, and I absolutely cannot wait for you to join me in this revolutionary reading experience. Now, let's get back to the episode. I've eaten so much good food, including the incredible Dutch bread and endless toppings, pannenkoeken and poffertjes, which means pancakes and mini pancake puffs, and I know I did see them at Trader Joe's at some point, mini Dutch maple pancake puffs. I tried them, and those are fake news, my friend. I am sorry, but if you know what authentic Dutch poffertjes taste like, those little frozen whatever it is, those are fake. Those are fake freaking news. I've also eaten classic Dutch cookies and pastries, like my favorite speculaas. Oh my god. And kruidnoten. Guys, if you're Dutch and you're listening to this, do a little dance with me, because I see you. The Dutch cheese, and just so much more than I can even recall. And I've even just like drank straight Dutch pancake syrup, polished off entire packs of stroopwafel cookies in one sitting. And stroopwafels, I feel like they're everywhere in the world now, but they're the waffles with like the caramel center. But if you were ever in the Netherlands, you have to, this is like not a choice. You have to get one at the market where they're like hot off the press, like literally hot off the press, and the caramel inside is all like gooey and hot and melty, and it's just the best thing ever. And I've eaten like entire chocolate letters, chocolade letters, in like a couple bites, and I swear like one letter is like 200 grams of just like pure chocolate, but I'm like, give me the goods. And this actually brings me to my next point in this updateful story, and that is my extreme hunger. I would have to check my journal entry for exactly which day it was, but it was one day in early October, uncoincidentally the day I decided to move back home and be closer to my family, that I experienced my first extreme hunger episode. I was absolutely shell-shocked when it happened, and it was like almost a surreal experience compared to my lack of appetite and the constant vomiting I'd been experiencing for like an entire year leading up to that moment. So it was like 4 p.m. and I'd already eaten my breakfast and my lunch, and I had some snacks and just the usual, and all of a sudden, I just got hit by what I often describe as a wave of hunger that sweeps you up and won't put you down until you've surfed it all the way down the coast. And damn, that day I surfed that wave all right. And ever since that day, I continued to surf that wave and gained weight exponentially fast. For basically the entire month of October and November, not a day went by without me feeling like I was binging my brains out. My body was in full-on healing mode, begging me to eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat until I felt so stuffed that I literally could not do anything else besides sit on my bed for like hours until the nausea passed. Like, I literally could not even move or walk because I was so freaking full. But I mean, if that doesn't go to show how bad I needed the food, I don't know what does. But listen closely, because here is like the epitome of making every mess into a message, because it was while I sat on my bed unable to move that I actually started writing my second book, which, can you guess what it's about? Yep, it's all about how to beat extreme hunger. My memoir is currently in the hands of my editor until mid-February of 2023, and because I was in the middle of experiencing extreme hunger all over again, all these years later, the words just like came pouring out of me, because going through extreme hunger again was just like a whoa wake-up call to the significance and importance of the mindset you have while going through it. Like, I'm currently halfway through writing the book, so the new book, because my memoir is obviously already finished, otherwise my editor wouldn't have it. But anyways, I'm currently halfway through writing my extreme hunger book and am blocking out time each week to hit another few thousand words, because I just want it to be out there so fast, because there are no books in like existence on extreme hunger, so I'm going to change that. So my memoir will be coming out in 2023 this year, and the extreme hunger book will definitely be coming out this year as well as my recipe book, which I'll tell you about in a sec too. So yeah, I'm hoping that my extreme hunger book will actually be finished by the time that my editor gives me back the manuscript for my memoir, so we can like swap, and she can read it and I can go on with publishing the memoir. And yeah, I mean, so much exciting stuff, so many exciting projects coming this year. And I did have a handful of amazing beta readers give feedback on my memoir when I finished the first draft. So if you'd like to be a beta reader for my upcoming extreme hunger book, be sure to email me livelabelfree@gmail.com, and you can be one of the very first people to read it. And if you sign up for my book waitlist over at livelabelfree.com/book, you'll also be the first one to receive updates on all my books. And yes, you will also receive exclusive pre-launch bonuses that I won't be giving anywhere else. So get on that list, my friend. And speaking of books, I'm almost finished with the recipe book that I was just telling you about. So yeah, we have so much going on. And for that too, you can be like a better reader, but I guess like more like better looker because a cookbook isn't really like that much reading. But I mean, I can still have typos in there, so I need like a fresh set of eyes. So again, if you want to give me feedback or get like exclusive access to any of my books to help me out and help bring them into the world, just shoot me an email and we will be in touch. So before moving on to answer the common question, Livia, how the frick do you do it all? How do you write 3 books and counting? And how do you do coaching? And how do you stay on Instagram? And how do you do this podcast? And how do you like sleep and eat and do all the things? I want to share where I am currently at on my extreme hunger journey, as I know what I'm about to share will be so reassuring for anyone currently fearful of the extreme hunger process. So for starters, I just shared that I basically binged every single day for 2 months straight, and I mean binged hard. I barely ate a vegetable, and 99.9% of my daily intake consisted of foods that were high in carbs, sugar, and fat. My body was constantly screaming for sweet food, so that's exactly what I gave it. Looking back, I must have gone through dozens of jars of Nutella and Cinnamon Toast Crunch like every week, on top of like going to a local bakery and buying like all the pastries like every single day, because my body was like, you need it, you just need it. And the best part of the entire process though has been how peaceful and at ease I felt each and every day. Unlike when I went through extreme hunger 5 years ago, when I was afraid I would never stop eating and that I would gain weight forever and that I'd become addicted to sugar and I would get diabetes, I now have so much trust in my body and the process. I know there will come a point where my body is in full perfect energy balance and it won't need as much food, and I know there will come a point where my body will settle at a weight that is healthy for it. Like, of course it will fluctuate from time to time, like when you go to Christmas dinner and you eat like Christmas cookies and have extra during the holidays, and I always notice that like during the winter I tend to eat a lot more. It's like my body's like going into hibernation or something. But yeah, I know that my body will settle at a weight that is healthy for it, and I know there will come a point where my body won't like want to eat an entire pack of cookies or an entire pack of Nutella or an entire jar of peanut butter with like 25 freaking hundred slices of cake on top and then still want more, because my body simply won't need that anymore. And in fact, I'm actually already living that right now. In just 2 months' time, I've gained all the weight back that I lost, and shortly thereafter, I've started craving more vegetables and quote-unquote healthy food again. And I say healthy in air quotes because I believe that health is subjective, and for me, eating mostly sugar and carbs and processed food was the healthiest thing for my body to come out of energy deficit. I mean, there's a reason you don't daydream about eating a bowl of lettuce, or you don't have fantasies about eating the sliced cucumber. And there's a reason your body craves all those high-calorie foods, because it is simply the most efficient way for your body to come back to a place of energy balance. So yes, if you have this whole idea of like, I need to eat like whole foods, plant-based, and I need to eat clean, and I need to gain weight the quote-unquote healthy way, the healthiest way to not only gain weight or eat, or just the healthiest way to be, is to listen to your freaking body. Like, our heart knows and our body knows, but our brain thinks. And sometimes we just have to trust our heart and trust our body and not listen to our freaking overthinking brain, because that's the very reason it's called overthinking. Like, we overthink things that are actually so simple, which are just listen to your cravings, just listen to your mental hunger. So I no longer feel the urgency around food that I did every single day during October and November. Like, I felt like such an urgency. It was like I was being pulled into the kitchen by like some invisible force that was like, you need food now. And I most definitely don't feel the need to keep eating until I'm so full and nauseous that I can barely move. But that process and that time and that experience had its time and place, because if I had been able to walk and do other things besides sit on my bed for 4 hours at a time until suddenly I was ravenous again, maybe I would have never started writing my extreme hunger book. So you see, everything happens for a reason. But yeah, long story short, I feel so much better now. I feel so energetic. I crave my salads and I crave my vegetables and I crave my cauliflower oatmeal. But I'm also eating Nutella and peanut butter and cookies and all the Dutch goodies. And I mean boterham met hagelslag, which translates to sliced bread with sprinkles. So it's the best thing ever. You take a fresh slice of Dutch bread and you smear a thick layer of butter on there, and then you top it off with chocolate sprinkles. It is heaven. Trust me, I have been eating all the goodness, and I eat my vegetables and I eat my fruit and all the things, but that's what is balance. And my body craves the variety now because it feels safe and it knows food is abundant, so it no longer feels the need to act as if we're in a famine. It doesn't feel the need to obsess over food or watch what I eat in a day videos all day to find permission to eat, because only you can give yourself that permission, my friend. So I do want to note here that I am still requiring a high amount of food, and I definitely say I'm still experiencing extreme hunger episodes from time to time, but it's gradually been decreasing and I'm fully surrendering to the process and will continue to do so. I mean, that's the way through life, right? And I may continue to gain weight and go into overshoot again like I did several years ago. And like I said, if so freaking be it. Our bodies are so freaking smart, and the more we try and manipulate and micromanage them and tell them no, it's good now, we have to stop, the more confused and messed up your body will get. I'm also still waiting on my period to come back after a year of not having it. So even just for that reason, I'm body, do your thing. What has been really, really positive though, even though it kind of sucks, and I mean, I'm this is a sign that I know my period is around the corner. But like I said, it sucks, is that I'm definitely noticing the hormones working again, because I've been getting so many pimples, and I filmed a Reels a couple weeks ago where you can just see a massive pimple, but I'm you know what? 1 pimple, 2 pimples, 3 pimples, hell, even 30 pimples is better than experiencing mental extreme hunger for the rest of your life. Am I right? Okay, so I also wanted to answer some questions I've been receiving about the process, including how I'm dealing with the weight gain and just how I'm dealing with the mental side of extreme hunger overall. So let us start with weight gain. Personally, I've never been someone who feared weight gain, and by that I mean I never feared weight gain in the sense that I feared being in a larger body or being at a higher weight. Even when I was at my lowest weight, when I was in the throes of anorexia, I knew how skeletal I looked, and I was even ashamed of how I looked. For many, many years, I truly did want to gain weight, but the reason it took me so long to finally start gaining weight was because I feared taking the actions necessary to do so. I always remember saying that if I could wave a magic wand and be at a higher weight, I totally would. Give me the wand, please. I just didn't want to have to go through the discomfort and the drastic changes that come with the process of gaining weight, like the bloating, the clothes not feeling right, and having to buy new clothes. When I discovered I am autistic at the age of 20, the entire course of my life, but also my eating disorder journey, all made sense to me, including this strong aversion to taking those necessary recovery actions. One of my core autistic traits is difficulty with change, and still today, I absolutely hate clothes shopping. I'm so particular about the way clothes fit me, and honestly, totally comparable to Goldilocks in that sense. And the best way to describe how I need my clothes to feel is just right. Of course, you can't stay stuck in an eating disorder just because you don't want to outgrow old clothes, just like you can't stay a little kid forever because you don't want to have to work when you're older. The only guarantee in life is that everything is constantly changing, whether we like it or not. We cannot control the things we cannot control, such as the external world or the weight our body feels best at, but we can always control our mindset. I'm sure you've heard the phrase that pain is inevitable, yet suffering is optional. Yes, digestive issues in recovery are painful, and neurally rewiring your brain will bring up a lot of anxiety. But the more you try and resist these parts of the process, the more suffering you create for yourself. Because I believe mindset is at the very core of not only full recovery from an eating disorder, but also to unlocking your full potential in life, the first module of my course, Extremely Hungry to Completely Satisfied, is all about how to shift your mindset to go from a place of fear and limitation to a place of abundance and empowerment. This is also exactly what I work on in the first weeks of coaching with my clients, because like I said, if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have an open mindset to changing and are not committed, like how do you even believe you're going to sustain recovery? So it's owning this very mindset, this mindset of abundance and that everything is possible and believing you can achieve what you want to achieve, that I believe made going through extreme hunger the second time around so much easier for me. Although last year was straining in every way possible, I'm actually very grateful for the lessons last year taught me. Losing all that weight and then needing to gain it back proved to be a testament to how my mindset has shifted more than I ever thought even possible just a few years ago. I no longer held the same fears that I did when I went through extreme hunger the first time around, including the fear that, like I said before, that I would never stop eating, that I would become addicted to sugary foods and get diabetes, or that I would gain weight forever and swing to the other side and develop binge eating disorder. Instead of trying to delay the extreme hunger process, which actually just made it more painful and extreme, I was able to give myself permission to jump right in. And because I did that, because my mindset is in such a place of trust and abundance, the process went by so quick and I'm doing better than ever as quickly as 2 months later. Now, I want to ask you this. How much better could your life be if you could get this process over and done with in just 2 months? I just want you to take a moment to imagine that. What could your life look like if you no longer suffered from extreme physical or extreme mental hunger? Well, you can be living that life in 2 months. My course, Extremely Hungry to Completely Satisfied, is an 8-week program that guides you step by step through the process, providing you with knowledge and tangible action steps to go from where you are now to where you want to go. All of the mindset shifts that I have made over the years that made this recent extreme hunger journey almost effortless are explained in my course, so I have no doubt it's the exact resource you need to beat extreme hunger once and for all. You can learn more about my course by visiting the link livelabelfree.com/extreme-hunger-course, and I am so excited for you to join me on this journey to freedom, because I swear life is so much more full when you are not obsessed with food. And speaking of guidance and making the extreme hunger process easier, something else I struggled with a lot less this second time around has been the unpredictability aspect of extreme hunger. If you're autistic, you know that alongside difficulty with change, difficulty with unpredictability is another very common autistic trait. The reason autistic people have so many rituals and routines in place is to avoid change and to make life more predictable. I believe this comes down to trust, as the only reason we fear unpredictability is because we don't trust what will happen. Rituals and routines give us something to rely on. They give us knowledge of the outcome, because in the end, that's all trust really is. Knowing the outcome. Extreme hunger, along with it being a process that comes with endless change, is also a very unpredictable process. Not knowing when an extreme hunger episode would hit, not knowing which specific cravings I would have that day, not knowing how much I would need to eat to feel satisfied, not to mention the unpredictability of how much weight you'll gain or whether or not you'll get a digestive flare-up. I mean, all of these are factors that can cause you to come up with all those what if worst case scenario happens. Due to the fear, which is the opposite of trust because you just don't know the outcome and then imagine the worst, you try to avoid honoring the extreme hunger at all costs. But all this is doing is keeping you extremely hungry. It's true, you don't know the outcome of what honoring your extreme hunger will bring, but what you do know is that constantly not feeling satisfied is not making you happy. You know that how you're living your life right now is not fulfilling you and not making you happy. So what do you really have to lose by doing something different? The only way to know what will happen when you honor your extreme hunger is to honor your extreme hunger. And because I do want to move on to tell you all about what's coming in 2023 this year, that's all I'm going to say about extreme hunger for now. Thanks to my new mindset, the past 2 months of extreme hunger were monumentally easier for me to go through, and I want to help make it monumentally easier for you by inviting you to enroll in my course. You know where to find more info because I just shared the link, but here it is again. livelabelfree.com/extreme-hunger-course. Now, let's talk about what you can expect in 2023. So, I'll start with an update on my memoir, as that's the most significant project that will finally be released this year. And as much as I wish I did, I don't yet have a publishing date, because I know so many of you have been asking me about that, because this process, it's definitely proving to have a lot more aspects to it than I originally thought. But hey, enjoy the journey, right? I've already learned so much about the steps necessary to write and self-publish a book, and continue to learn more as I move forward. I mean, like I said again, I am a lifelong learner in every sense of the word. Currently, the manuscript for my memoir is in the hands of a professional editor until mid-February, which I mentioned earlier in the episode. So some of the steps that will follow include formatting the book, having the cover designed, which my amazingly talented sister will be doing, and she's just gonna design the cover for all my books, because what she comes up with, like, that is freaking art. I need to record the audiobook version, and then I need to figure out how to publish and distribute to all of the places where books are sold. And I also do plan on translating all of my books to Dutch in the future, which I'm very excited for, especially for this memoir, because so many of the events in the story take place in the Netherlands, and it was definitely interesting translating Dutch conversations into English for the first version, especially because there are like certain expressions or just the way Dutch people say things that I'm like, you just cannot find the proper translation to English. So if you are Dutch and you're listening to this, I'm just going to give a quick example. That's like when people say, "Nou, dat is niet de bedoeling, hè?" Which means like, basically like, well, that's not the purpose, but like, it doesn't even come close to like the tone or like the intonation that you like feel if you understand Dutch. So anyways, I so appreciate everyone's enthusiasm and support around my book already, and I'm just so freaking excited for the day that you can finally get your hands on it. And transparently, the process of publishing a book is very expensive. Like, the editor alone cost me like $3,000, and you know the like barcode on the back of a book with like the ISBN number? Like, even just buying an ISBN number like cost a few $100s. Like, who freaking knew? So yeah, this whole process and like me wanting to write multiple books too, I'm like, holy shit, this is costing me a lot of money. And because money was like one of the biggest reasons why I almost died last year, I've really realized that I need to start speaking up for myself more, and like advocating for myself, and just asking for more people to support me, because all of the free content I put out, like this podcast and on Instagram and on YouTube and all my blog posts, like I don't get paid for that. Like, that's just me being passionate about something and sharing it with people who need it. And if you do benefit from it, or if you know someone who is benefiting from it, please do consider becoming a Live Label Free patron and joining me on Patreon, where you can donate as little or as much per month as you want to support me as a creator, and so I can continue doing what I love most, which is providing you with free content. And if you also want to be one of the founding members of my memoir and all my other books and help get all my books into the world faster, if you're a patron, if you're on Patreon and you're supporting me there, you will get a free copy of all of my books, as well as all of those pre-launch bonuses I will be gifting before the book officially releases, just to show my gratitude, because your support and anyone who makes a monthly donation and really sees my work as a creator and really works to support that, I mean, that does not go unnoticed. So I do want you to know that I will be sharing all of my free content with you and more if you support me on Patreon. So 2 other big projects I'm currently working on and aspire to finish in 2023 are those 2 other books I mentioned. So the one on how to beat extreme hunger, and the other one on which is a recipe book for neurodivergent individuals, as well as those who are recovered or in recovery from disordered eating. Learning to nourish my own body in a way that made me feel my best was a critical aspect of recovery from my eating disorder. So I really hope that this book, this recipe book, will empower and inspire people like you to do the same. So as you can imagine, writing and publishing 3 books and counting, because I'm gonna spare you the details of the 20 plus, I'm not even exaggerating right now, 20 plus other book ideas I have, on top of coaching, this podcast, my YouTube channel, Instagram, and the demands of everyday life. Like, I still need to pay my rent and do groceries, and also make time to, take myself out once in a while, because what is life if you can't even have fun? It's all a really big time and energy investment, and like I said, one that literally almost killed me last year. So in an effort to embrace the journey and protect my mental health and overall well-being, I've accepted that I simply can no longer do everything at once, and I do need to be intentional with where I focus my energy and spend my time. And I have found that writing and working on my books and being fully present with my clients and course students brings me the most joy. These are the activities that I know are making the biggest impact and changing the most lives. So that's where I choose to focus most of my energy. After literally surviving 2022, I've been craving a slower pace of life, one in which I actually feel present, one in which I'm prioritizing my health and well-being and asking for support for all the free content I do, one in which I'm prioritizing my family and relationships and actually going to visit them and not saying I'm too busy with work or I don't have time, because, if we don't have time for what's most important, what the hell are we even doing? Basically, I am craving a life in which I'm actually enjoying the process of living, because isn't that what we are all striving for in the end? For this reason, I have made the intentional decision to spend less time in other places, and one of those places is on Instagram. I think I can speak on behalf of very many people when I say that Instagram has become a really frustrating place to be, not only because it's all a highlight reel and is a breeding ground for comparison, but also because it's the ever-changing app itself. Instagram is simply no longer what it used to be, a platform to connect with like-minded individuals. The algorithm keeps changing, it's infested with ads, and I can spend hours creating a valuable post or Reels video just to have 2 people see it. Don't get me wrong, I still love connecting with people on Instagram, and I'll definitely still be present on there, but no longer as much as I used to be. My books and clients deserve my energy, and the people that choose to support me deserve my energy, and I refuse to be a slave to some social media app that just drains my energy. So if you are currently frustrated by Instagram or any other forms of social media, here is your reminder that you get to choose how you engage, and if this app feels like it's controlling your life, you get to choose to take that control back. In the same vein, I also plan on doing more shorty podcast episodes and may release podcasts bi-weekly sometimes if I release like a much longer episode. Just because podcasting is a massive time commitment and the length of the final episode definitely does not do the behind-the-scenes process proper justice. To create one single episode, I need to come up with an idea, I need to script the episode, I need to record the episode, I need to edit the episode, I need to go back and edit the original script so that it reads nicely for the blog, I need to create graphics to use as the thumbnail images and for YouTube, and I haven't even gotten to the part of time spent creating a Reels video or a post to share the podcast on Instagram, or the time spent writing the email to share the podcast with my email list. So yes, even a podcast episode that's like only 5 minutes can take over 5 hours to create. I do love podcasting and sharing massive free value with you, but I don't get paid an hourly rate for those 5 hours. So the hours I spend creating that free value need to be compensated in some way. And of course, my clients and course students support me as a creator while they're receiving massive value. But if you're just a listener of the podcast and aren't in any of my paid programs or just kind of taking all my value and appreciate everything I do, I really would appreciate it if you could make a small donation to support me and show you love and show that you appreciate me by joining me on Patreon. And I know I've mentioned this before, and I hate to sound like so repetitive and so salesy, but like I said, I need to start speaking up for myself more, and in order to keep making the biggest impact I can make while still supporting myself and being able to do my own groceries, I do rely on generous donation from people like you. So again, you can join me on Patreon by visiting the link livelabelfree.com/Patreon, and I really do want you to know that I appreciate your support from the bottom of my heart. So phew, I think that's all I have to share for now. Yeah, like at least for now, as everything is constantly changing, and in a month my life could be all different again. So if you enjoy these update episodes, or even have any ideas for how I can support you even more for becoming a Live Label Free patron, I was actually thinking that if you're in the US and you want to become a patron, why do I keep saying patron? I feel like it's patron. I would love to send you a goodie box of all of my favorite Dutch foods. So yeah, just know that there are going to be a lot of good perks for being a patron or a patron. And if you're in the Netherlands, I have a lot of connections in the US, so I can send you a goodie box of all US foods. So yes, please do let me know your thoughts, and whether or not, if you become a patron and want to show your support to me, please let me know what your biggest insights are, what you appreciate most about my work by sending me an email over at livelabelfree@gmail.com. So yeah, you can also send me a DM on Instagram, but for the reasons I just mentioned, I'm much more likely to see and respond to your emails quicker, just because Instagram is such a freaking time suck and an energy suck, and I don't want to be opening that app 100,000 times anymore, because I could be using that time to gather goodies for the Patreon box, or write my book, or do stuff that actually is making such a bigger impact in the world than scrolling social media. I look forward to hearing from you soon, and as always, I look forward to having you hear from me again soon in the next episode. Bye bye for now.